Okay, we're going to do the Chapter 6 practice test. This one, after you write your name on it, make sure you have a unit circle. This one's not mine, but I'm going to borrow it. And then your calculator. So give the amplitude, period, phase shift, vertical shift of the function given there. So amplitude is the absolute value of A. So remember this is, let's do it this way. This is A, the number out front, B is in front of X, C is over here, and then plus D would be on the outside. So amplitude, absolute value of A, so our amplitude is simply 5. Period for sine and cosine is 2 pi over B, and B in this case is pi, so we will have 2 pi over pi, which will cancel each other out, and our period will simply be 2. Phase shift, this is what we called starting point, so we're going to set the parentheses equal to 0, so pi x plus 6 equals 0. Pi x equals -6, x equals -6 over pi, which is ugly, but that's would have been our starting point if we had to graph this one, which thankfully we don't. Our vertical shift would be the number on the outside. There is none. Awesome. So for the next thing, it says graph one period of this function, and everything is, well, not everything is the same, but we're going to have to find all that information that we just did up top to actually graph this. So our amplitude is going to be 5. Our period is going to be 2 pi over B, which is pi over 6, which means we're going to have to multiply by the reciprocal. So we're going to have 2 pi times 6 over pi. Well, that's going to cancel those out. So our period is actually going to be 12. That's special, at least doesn't have a pi. It'll make it a little bit easier for us. Our starting point, we're going to set the parentheses equal to 0. So we'll have pi over 6, x equals -pi. Multiply by the reciprocal, so x equals -pi times 6 over pi. So we cross out the pi's. And our starting point is going to be x equals -6. So let's see what we can do here. If our starting point is -6, our ending point is the starting point plus the period. Well, the period was 12, so -6 plus 12 is 6. Then to find all of our inside values, we add together and divide by 2. So -6 plus 6 is 0, divided by 2, still 0. 0 plus 6 is 6, divided by 2 is 3. And that would make this -3. That actually makes our lives pretty easy. Since this is sine, we're going to start in the middle, we're going to end in the middle, and we're going to middle in the middle. Since this is a positive sign, we're going to go up A here, and we're going to go down A here. So our midline, well, our midline would change if we had a D value, and we don't. So our midline is going to just be 0. We're going to go up A. A was 5, so this will be a +5, and then we're going to go down 5. And now we can just graph. So based on our x values, I'm going to put 0 in the middle, and we're going to go up 5, and we're going to go down 5. Negative. We're going to have 2 points this way, 1, 2. We're going to have 2 points this way, 1, 2. Okay, so we're going to, and I'll draw it with the red so we can see it, 0, up, 0, down, 0. Oh, connect the dots, connect the dots. There's my beautiful one-handed sign. One problem, done. Okay, and the good news about the next one, that these are pretty close. The only thing that changes is this negative sign, which we can deal with. So our amplitude is going to be 6. Our period is still 2 pi over b, so 2 pi over 4, which is going to be pi over 2. Phase shift, set the parentheses equal to 0. So we will have 4x minus pi over 2 equals 0. So we will have 4x equals pi over 2, divide by 4, divide by 4, or multiply by the reciprocal. So we will get pi over 8 as our phase shift. So we're going to start at pi over 8. Our vertical shift is that outside number, so we're going to go up 2. Okay, so let's see here. We're starting at pi over 8, and we're ending at pi over 8 plus pi over 2. So pi over 8 plus 4 pi over 8, this will be 5 pi over 8. Add these together, that's 6 pi over 8 divided by 2 is divided by 2 is 3 pi over 8. So this should be 2 pi over 8, which is pi over 4. And this will be, 4 pi over 8, which will be pi over 2. Okay, so this is cosine, and it's a negative cosine. So instead of starting at our max, we're going to start at our min. So midline minus a, where we start is where we stop. Midline minus a. So this will be midline plus a. And this will be our midline. Midline, midline. So our midline went up 2. So our midline's at 2. And our a value is 6. So midline minus a, this will be a negative 4. This will be a negative 4, and this will be a positive 6. Okay, so we draw. And as we draw here, oops, what did I? As I draw, we're going to have to mark our 5 points. So that one's not going to count because we don't have a point at 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are going to go up 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Negative 4. Okay, so we are going to have, I'm going to draw our midline too since we're here. Our midline is 2, just so we can be a little bit clearer on what we're doing. So we will middle here, oops, here. We're going to have a maximum up here, and we'll have our minimum here and here. Connect the dots. And there's our cosine graph. One more graph left, tangent. Okay, and there's no pretense to this one. We're just going to figure it out on our own. So let's see here. We have no a value, so our a is going to be 1. Our period is now just pi over b, which means our period's going to be 2 pi. It's a very large period. Our phase shift, so our starting point, we're going to set the parentheses equal to 0. So we'll have 1/2 x equals negative pi over 4, multiplied by the reciprocal, so 2. And so x will be negative pi over 2. So we're going to start at negative pi over 2. And we don't have any vertical shift. So our midline is going to be 0. So we'll write there, midline equals 0. There we go. So if our starting point is negative pi over 2, and our period is 2 pi, that means we're going to go over here, and our endpoint is going to be negative pi over 2 plus 2 pi. So that's going to be 3 pi over 2. Halfway between them, so if we add these together, we'll get, so negative pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is just going to be pi, so this will be pi over 2. Halfway between these, so add them together, divide by 2, that's going to be 0. Add these together and divide by 2, and that's going to be pi. Okay, tangent's a little bit tricky. So this is going to be our asymptote, and our asymptote, we're going to get half a tangent here, so we're going to start at our midline, and we're going to get his arm, so plus a, and then we get his leg, so we get mid minus a, and mid. So our midline was 0, so we start at 0, we're going to end at 0, this is going to be an asymptote. Our a value was 1, so we're going to go up 1, and we're going to go down 1. So our lines are a little tricky here. I'm going to make that our y-axis, so there's 1 on that side, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're going to have an asymptote, which you have to draw down here in the middle. Oh, and I forgot to label my y-axis. So I have 1 and I have negative 1. So I'm going to have a point here and a point here, and it's going to go up like that. And I'm going to have a point down here at negative 1 and a point over here at our midline, and it's going to go down. And if we had to draw more than one cycle, this would connect to up there and draw an arm, but we don't have to. Okay, last part. This is the part where we need the unit circle. So we have inverse sine, which means where on the unit circle is sine 1/2. And remember, for sine, we look here. For tangent, we look here. And for cosine, we look up here. So where on the unit circle over here is sine 1/2? Sine is y, so sine is 1/2 right there at pi over 6. Done. Find the exact value of this expression. Where is tangent positive radical 3 over 3? Okay, so this unit circle that I found on the floor does not have tangents. So I'm going to have to do sine over cosine, etc. So I'll start up here. Sine over cosine, 1 over 0, this would be undefined. Radical 3 over 1 is just radical 3. Anything over itself is 1.
Catholic, please stand for prayer and announcements.